Yeah, Jacob's sick. So I thought maybe you would stand in. You're not the best producer on BookTube. There's no bathroom walls that say that. How about if you're the best mascot on BookTube? How about that? Will you take that? Welcome back, everybody, to Talking Story. Hey, this is going to be a little bit of a weird one this week. I am flying solo. My literary wingman, the boy wonder, best producer on BookTube, is feeling a little bit under the weather. Not quite cleared for takeoff. Not good to go. So, hey, nothing gets between us and our weekly reader here on Talking Story. So we're going to soldier on. We're going to do the best we can on our own. It's been a long time since I've been on my own. We're going to see how this goes. So look, weekly reader, everybody slow down. Get that ick off the week. If you had any ick from the week, it is time to kind of just grab a frosty beverage, kind of kick back, enjoy some time with your bookish friends. Let's talk about what we got up to, what we read, how the week was, how story hit us, and just have a little bit of time together and get ourselves set to launch into the week coming up. So, with that in mind, let's get right into what I read this week. I grabbed One Piece Volume 8. I had finished Volume 7. You know what? I'm telling you, I'm up to Volume 9 now. I'm going to pick up Volume 9 in February, and I'm excited. Volume 9 is where this emotionality is supposed to hit me, and I've really been looking forward to it. But even without that, this is kind of really getting to me. It's I mean, not in an emotional way, but it's really getting to me where I look forward to grabbing the next volume. I'm enjoying the journey of these characters, and as more and more of their backstories come to light, I kind of become more in. And, you know, it's just such a fun way to have a little bit of a palate cleanser between some reads. I usually love a short story, maybe some comics, but I'm finding One Piece to be just like, the perfect sorbet between huge courses, these big books, these big chunkers we read. This is just like it's an express ticket. It's an express ticket to an E-train, to an E-ride. It's just nothing but fun. And this one, no spoilers, but our crew is growing. We got a new crewmate, and we're starting to get into the backstory of one of the crewmates that's been a little bit enigmatic for me. Nami, we're starting to find a little bit about where she came from and what's really her deal, and it's very different than she has portrayed herself up to this point. So I'm kind of really interested in that, and I can't wait to get to Volume 9 to find out. So I'm telling you, more and more I'm getting deeper and deeper into this, and if Volume 9 packs that emotional punch that I have been warned about, that I've been told is coming, I'm even more going to be all in. So this is just a lighthearted, great, fun time. And like I say, great palate cleanser, because after this, it was not a lighthearted, fun time. After this came the book club with the Mrs. Choice for this month, and that was Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjabrinha. This is, once a month here, we do book club with the missus, where my wife chooses a read for me, and she usually likes to challenge me a little bit off the beaten path from the kind of stories I usually read. Maybe the structure of it is something different. Maybe the cultural influences are something that I can't just grab a hold of right away. Maybe it's the subject matter that's really going to challenge me. In one way or another, she tries to shake me up once a month. And this time, she chose this book, and let me tell you, it did shake me up. And if you're not following us along for Book Club with the Missus, get in every month on Discord. Join us for this read, because they are always interesting. They're always fun. And like I say, they will always shake you up. And it's like, once we had the author join us for Book Club with the Missus, this month we had Darko from Kindles and Kicks join us. And this was just this past week. We talked about this in depth. I think we started spoiler free for 15 minutes or so, and then we got into it deep. This is one of those, this is a read with teeth, man. this is going to take a chunk out of you. Nana Kwame acts, he has an agenda. He wants to enlighten you to something that's going on in his world that he feels you might not know about. And if you do, maybe you're not paying enough attention. It's one of those type of books that has an agenda, it has a protest. And that's a really fine line to walk for me sometimes. Sometimes this book, oh, just hit it out of the park, absolutely worked. Sometimes it got a little bit didactic for me. But let's go over kind of what worked. This is one of those like 5 minutes in the future, dystopic vision of our country here and the prison system, the mass incarceration problem we have going on in this country. And it kind of extrapolates from there with our love going all the way back in history. Our people's love of bread and circuses and that type of action-packed hyperviolence, along with the latest craze of reality TV. And you kind of put all this together. You add in some dashes of corporate greed, and wow, you kind of get what he's going for here. Where it did work for me, the absolute beating heart of this for me is the relationship between two of the lead characters, and that's Loretta Thruwar and Hurricane Stax. Two just amazingly powerful African American women that rely on each other, rely on their love for each other to get them through this stark, brutal reality that they find themselves in. Like I say, 5 minutes into the future, the prison system, if you have no hope of parole, you can sign the papers and actually join the CAPE system. And the CAPE system is basically gladiators to the death. If you can last 3 years on the arena floor fighting other prisoners for the entertainment of all, you will get high freed. That means you will be able to walk away. You'll be able to enter society again and pick up your life. Or you can be low freed, and that means you're going to die on the arena floor. And if you see no other hope for yourself, as many of these incarcerated characters do, you go into this system like that, and you are never alone. This idea of reality TV, it's always swirling around these characters, even in between arena battles as they camp and move between these battles, even just themselves. There's cameras always swirling around them, so the relationships and the lifestyle shows are always on TV for the entertainment. So maybe if you're not all in on this brutal action, maybe you get sucked in and pulled into these type of lifestyle shows and just start getting to know the people. And then you get pulled into the entertainment, and it's quite the insidious look of how violence can start to get under our skin and get to us, and we start to find ourselves watching things that we started out uncomfortable with. So it is so many aspects of the situation, and this is where it absolutely worked for me. When I was in the character's shoes, when I was in this relationship between Hurricane Stax and Loretta Thruwar, and relying on each other to get me through this brutal reality, this story absolutely worked for me on every level that I think Nana Kwame wanted it to. And some of the other characters, Simon J. Kraft or Scorpion Singer, when I was in their shoes, when I was living their life, when I was taking the knocks as they took them and having this heightened sense all the time of what was around the next corner in this world for me, it absolutely worked on a very visceral level. Where it started to maybe disengage itself from me as a story, he relies, Nana Kwame does, on using footnotes a lot of the time. Some of these footnotes are to give us context for the characters in the story or the world around them, how it works, where the inventions came from, how this was all built, and by what corporation. Some of them are actual just real world, real life statistics from our world about incarceration and the people that find themselves incarcerated in the hopelessness thereof, and all types of things, the types of people that are incarcerated. He absolutely wants to enlighten us and show us something. And sometimes the use of those footnotes, even though I did find them enlightening, took me out of the story a bit. And I found the story to be much more engaging and moving to me even as a protest piece, moving me to feel a certain way when I was in the shoes of the character, as opposed to just getting some of this information shown my way. But let me tell you, that's a pretty small nit to pick. Overall, so many characters in this that I truly, truly enjoyed journeying with. Such a world of, I mean, yeah, I've watched many a gladiator type of thing. I've watched Gladiator. I've watched Spartacus. I've watched more and more many than I can name. And this was kind of certainly special as opposed to all those. It kind of stood head and shoulders in a way above some of those that I've watched. And I really enjoyed it. I really think this is a storyteller that was almost hit it out of the park for me on every level. He is really operating on a high level here, and I cannot wait to see what he does next. This is a writer I'm absolutely going to watch. And this is a book I would absolutely recommend if you're looking for that type of read that makes you question the world around you, or makes you get inside a character's head or walk into character's shoes, that will give you that shortcut to empathy that's uncomfortable. Maybe this is not the type of character journey you want to share, but it could be a character journey that you need to share because it will give you that shortcut to empathy that makes us understand how others in this world live and the weight they have to carry. And it can help us understand that and maybe possibly help us take some of that weight and carry it with them. And there's no better way than make that change than through art and through walking that in those characters' shoes. And I really appreciated this for that. Again, not completely comfortable, but I would highly recommend. After that, guys, we know it is Janny-uary. We've been waiting for this for a while. Me and I think, gosh, I have lost count. 9 or 10 other booktubers are all buddy reading and going through The Wars of Light and Shadow by Janny-uary. And we're starting this month with Curse of the Mistwraith. And now these are female booktubers, male booktubers, booktubers here in the States with us, booktubers in Bulgaria and Ireland and Germany, and just from all over. We wanted just so many different perspectives as we start to break this story down. And I'm about halfway through Curse of the Mistwraith, book 1, and wow, guys, it is. I got to take some frosty beverage before I get into this. Where to start? Okay, so many times when we talk about Janny-uary, and I've read To Ride Hell's Chasm, and many booktubers have read some of her stuff, and they'll talk about it, and it's always relayed to you like the language is so intentional. She places every word for the largest impact that she can. It's heightened language, and yes, I'm not going to dispute those. That's a fine way to describe it. Absolutely true. But as I'm reading this, I think that might be a disservice. I think it might be a disservice. The word I come up with as I'm reading this is, the prose here is transportive. It is transportive. It is going to surround you and lift you up from your life and your world and your experiences, and it is going to take you somewhere completely different and completely foreign in a world that you absolutely do not know. You might recognize some tropes or some things about it, but it's going to completely transport you, and that is so much of what we want when we get into fantasy. That is why we're here. And this language, this way that she uses her craft of prose, absolutely is going to spiritually and almost feel like physically move you to somewhere else. So that's the word I'm going to use. Don't go in thinking, oh gosh, I don't know if I want to work that hard. I don't know if I want heightened language or this kind. It's transportive. That's the way I would absolutely describe it. And I've heard many times too people talk about, well, that bridge series between classical fantasy and what we would now call modern fantasy, the way the narratives tend to work. And I've heard several types of series brought up. Wheel of Time is one that's brought up quite a bit. That is like that bridge between classical to modern. And I'm like, I think 6 or 7 books into Wheel of Time at this point, but I have to tell you, this came out about 3 years after, if I'm doing my math right, 3 years after Eye of the World. And I find so much of that in this. So much of this language will give you that classical feel, but at the same time, it operates on such a modern type of narrative drive. I had to reach out to Janny at the very beginning of this and say, wow, the scenes, they just crackle. They just crackle with drama. I could see them staged. I could see them being acted out because you do such an amazing job of getting a character faced with another character, and they each have an understandable, deep-seated need or motivation in the scene of what they want, and it's always diametrically opposed of what that other person in the scene wants. And in between that is the fuel of drama. It is the fuel of everything that pushes a narrative forward. And she said, yeah, where does that come from? One of my very early mentors was a playwright. Not only a playwright, I believe she said was up for a Pulitzer, and he was one of the people. And I wish I could remember his name. We will get his name when we talk to Janny. But she was saying he was one of the early mentors that was a playwright that took her seriously early on and helped her. And that is what I'm seeing in this, and it's absolutely true. This is such an amazing bridge series in that way that I was talking about, because from one scene to the next, it flows, it moves like modern drama. It has that drive, it has that pace, it has that unrelenting sense of story that you don't want to let go of the book. You have to see what's around the next corner for these characters. It basically revolves around two half-brothers that are estranged, Lysair and Arathon. One always been raised, Lysair, to be an heir apparent to take over the kingdom once his father passes, and his half-brother that is a bastard due to a tryst when his mother fled the kingdom and had a tryst with the pirate king. He's been brought up amongst pirates and mages, so vastly different type of upbringing. These two half-brothers come together, and then through this amazing moment of portal fantasy, they're lifted from their world and then taken to yet another fantasy world that's dealing with the curse of the Mistwraith, and they find themselves that they are the heroes of the story, and only by working together, even though they are enormously estranged, can they have a chance of saving this world. And the other amazing thing happening here is these two brothers, as they're lifted from their reality, taken to this other world of Etheria, we have the theme of, how do we define ourselves? We grow up all of our lives maybe amongst mages or pirates, or we've grown up all our lives maybe amongst the court, and we're being groomed to lead and take over and be an aristocratic royal leader. But now all that's stripped away. How do we define ourselves? How do we define ourselves now in this new reality where those around us are seeing us and desiring things from us that are quite different than what we've always seen of ourselves and been led to believe our destiny in our life is going to take us to? So it's a very interesting theme going on here of self-determination and how the outside world can impact that and change your very ideals of yourself by how those around you are looking at you and depending on you and needing things from you that are vastly different than all the things prior to this moment have been. And the other thing I will say that I just can't let go of this book enough is the world itself. Of course, it has things that I recognize, like I talk about that bridge series, those classical things, unicorns and centaurs and just things that I know and I love and I can grab hold of. But it's got just enough new topspin here, just enough modernity injected into it that makes me want to see what's around the next corner of this world. There's deep lore here. It's a truly broken world, suffering again the curse of the Mistwraith, which has taken out their actual sun, their actual way of life growing and moving forward. And what will that do to the people socio-politically and every other way if this were to if the sun were to be taken from the sky? So how can we address this curse and get the world moving forward? And once it's moving forward, what is going to be the fallout of that socio-politically with the people that have come to be able to excuse me, come to be able to live in this world. How are they going to live now that that world has drastically changed? So all of this and more is being set up. And like I say, guys, I'm only halfway through, and all of these things are entering into my mind and making me think and making me want to just pick up the book and go forward. Absolutely. Again, if the second half is anything like the first, and I have no reason to think it will not be, there's no way this is not up for book of the month for me. This is everything I was hoping this series would be. And again, a bold statement here. I think this series should be held up as that huge gateway bridge of Tolkien classic to what we now think of as modern fantasy. This should be one of those things, one of those cornerstones between those two realities that we look to and say, "Ooh, we can start to see the lens that the past and the classic is disseminated through and morphed into what we now call modern fantasy." I'm just totally so far blown away by this. And I can't make enough bold statements about it. I really hope the second half, and again, I have no reason to believe it won't be, the second half is just as good as the first. Hey, just a quick break from the show to say a very special thank you to all of our correspondents, our directors, and our producers here that help us build the channel. Together, they do so many things. They help us make decisions. They help us keep the lights on and keep rolling, all the way up to taking over our channel once a month and getting their content on our channel. If you're interested and able, you have any questions about it, right down there in the description box under the Patreon link, you can find out all about it. And just a very special thank you to all of these people. Now, back to the show. So what's coming up for me after that? After that, I try and do at least one indie read of the month. And this month, it is part 2 of Dungeon Crawler, Carl's Doomsday Scenario. I'm really looking forward to getting back to this. The first one was just so much fun, but still had like a serious undertone under there. The story of our entire world is just flattened and created into a reality TV dungeon crawler show from level to level. And if you happen to be out of doors, you lived if you can get to a dungeon and participate in this show. But it is a different part of this galactic empire that puts on the show one season after another. And there's a little bit of backbiting between these alien cultures and how it all works and who's in power. And there's a lot going on behind the curtains that really interested me in book 1. And I'm told as the books go forward, we get more and more of that. And I'm really looking forward to that part of the story, as well as just the crazy mayhem that Carl and Grand Champion Princess Donut get up to. It is a lit RPG, and I think it utilizes the trappings of that so well. It utilizes the trappings of lit RPG in a humorous way, in a fun way. And I'm telling you, it makes me laugh out loud, actually. And I can't wait to get back to it and have just hopefully a great time. And then after that, I should wrap this up before we're back here for Weekly Reader. And after that, I'm going to go back into the Sun Eater Saga by Christopher Rocchio. I'm up to book 4, Kingdoms of Death, and I cannot wait to get back to this. For the longest time, guys, I mean, Hyperion, Cantos, and Dune have just battled it out in my head for top slot for sci-fi. This is, I'm telling you, the further I go into this, the more it knocks on the door of that. It just keeps creeping up. He does such an amazing job, the author here, Christopher Rocchio, of blending so many, it's like high fantasy court intrigue and cyberpunk body modification and AI run amok and a nice thread of cosmic horror going all the way through this, as well as just an amazing character study of our main character, Hadrian Marlowe, the half-mortal, starting out as this young idealist that wants to run away from his aristocratic roots and just go into academia and try to understand the mysteries of the cosmos around him and try to understand and sue for peace of this long-standing war that has been going on with humanity in the Cielsen. And he loves these legends and stories of explorers that find other cultures and assimilate with them and understand them and work towards understanding the mysteries between the two cultures. And he sees himself as that type of hero and that explorer. And he wants to go out into the cosmos and maybe, like I say, somehow get peace between these two cultures that are now warring. And from that beginning of that idealist, we start to see step by step how this character is going to be the one behind an actual genocide of an entire alien race. And this is not a spoiler, guys. This is on the back flap of book one. That's why it's called the Sun Eater Saga. He takes out a sun and takes out an entire race to end a war. But how does he get there? How does he get to be the person that can actually bring himself to do that when he starts from these beginnings of such an idealist and wanting peace more than anything else? So much so that he's learning the actual language of the Sea Elson because he wants to be able to communicate on grounds that he just sees not happening. So it's such a character journey and such an arc that he's weaving in with all these other types of plot threads and things. He does an amazing job somehow of keeping all these balls in the air and perfectly balanced. And I've just so enjoyed this. And we will see. For me, this series gets better book by book by book. So we will see what book 4 has in store for us after book 3, Demon in White, was like a new high level for me. So we will see if that continues. But I absolutely look forward when we're back here a week from today with Weekly Reader. I should just have gotten into this, just have started it. So we'll see how it is going. And that's it for us guys on the reading front. I hope you guys are having a bunch of 5-star reads as well. I hope you're just picking up one amazing banger of a book after another. What did we get up to last week on the channel? It was a really good week. I splashed myself. Last week, we wrapped up all of December. We went over everything we read for the entire last month of 2024, and we picked our book of the month. And it came down to, it always does, like I have the hardest time picking a book of the month after month, because I get so many amazing recommendations from you guys. I hardly ever have a bad read anymore because you guys lead me to all the good stuff. So last month it came down to, the big chunker. It came down to Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson or the Patreon read. Every month the Patreons around here vote for me to have a read. And last month, December, it was Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. If you want to see what came out on top, go back and check that video. I think there was a clear winner for me. Check it out. So we did that, and also, like I alluded to, we did book club with the missus last week. Me and the missus and Darko from Kindles and Kicks got into everything Chain Gang All Stars by Nana Kwame Adjabrinha. We started out spoiler free, I think, for about 15 minutes or so. So if you kind of want more than just my take, to see if this is something you'd want to get into, all three of us kind of overall go over broad feelings of what we thought about it. And then I think 15 or 17 minutes in, then we kind of got into the real nitty gritty spoilers, things that worked for us, things that didn't work for us. If you haven't read it, check out the spoiler free part. See if it's something you want. And if it is, then come back and watch the whole thing possibly. Or if you have read this and you want to check it out, check that video out. We had a great time hanging out and talking. Thank you so much for Darko to hang out with us. It was really great fun. And this coming week, oh, wow, okay. We're going to have a great week again. So we're going to wrap up totally. This is the end of the wrap up for December 2024. We're going to do our book haul. And oh my gosh, it was December. It was Christmas time. And wow, do I have a book haul. It's going to take some time, guys. We might have broke a record. It's huge. So we got a huge December book haul on Tuesday. And then coming on Thursday, hopefully the Boy Wonder is well, because we just went to Dragonsteel in December. And one of the things we absolutely wanted to do at Dragonsteel was carve out some time to talk to Christopher Rocchio. Not just me talk to Christopher Rocchio. Jakob has started reading Sun Eater as well. He's read Empire of Silence, and he's read The Lesser Devil, which is the novella Crispin story, kind of in between books 1 and 2. And Jakob, being a filmmaker, being a young artist and a visual artist, he was so smitten by how Christopher puts his scenes together. They're so cinematic. They revolve. He could see his camera placement. He could see how he would want to do it all just by reading the book, and that doesn't always happen for him. So he had a lot of questions for Christopher Rocchio about how he does that, the art of the craft of that type of thing. And he was going to lead his first interview and talk to Christopher Rocchio at Dragonsteel. But here's what happened. Christopher was so popular at Dragonsteel, he had lines from morning till night, and we just didn't have the heart to hit him up to talk to us after working so hard day after day after day and signing so many books. So we have rescheduled, and we are going to be talking to Christopher Rocchio this coming week here on the channel. So Thursday, our discussion with Christopher Rocchio, and hopefully Jakob is well enough to lead this interview himself and talk to Christopher about his experiences of starting the Sun Eater saga. So that is what we have on tap for you this week here on the channel. And then we'll be right back here Sunday, hopefully with the two of us going back and forth to cover everything that we've read for the week. And we'll be right back here for Weekly Reader. Excuse me. So that's kind of it for us, guys. The only thing left for me is, what have I been watching? And I wrapped up Creature Commandos. Now, this is that animated series on Max. It's the beginning of James Gunn's DC cinematic universe. I kind of think he's counting his film Suicide Squad and his series Peacemaker on HBO Max as canon. I kind of think so. That's actually the beginning. But this was like kind of hyped as where he's going. And I really enjoyed it. Now, make no mistake, it is animated, but it is extremely adult. I will warn you going in. It is quite violent. It is quite bloody. Yes, I get trigger warnings galore. But I really enjoyed it. I thought he did a great job of looking in all these strange little corners of the DC universe. There were cameos I did not expect, characters that I rarely see used. And I love the theme of gods and monsters that he said this is what his movies are going to revolve around. And I thought he mined that theme so well in this little animated 6-episode series of gods and monsters. These creature commandos, these monsters with godlike powers, how do they fit into the society? They're kind of outside as an other. How do they fit in? What does that do to them? What does that do to the world around them? The impacts they do, the ripples that what they're doing, the effects of it through the larger world. All of that stuff is looked at in mind, especially when they start going into the backstory of each of these characters and you see their origin stories and where they've come from and how they've got to where they are right now and how all the baggage they carry and how they interact with each other because of it. It's really, really well done. It really mines that theme of gods and monsters so well, and I so appreciated it. And I tell you guys, it really got me excited for Superman. I was already so excited for Superman, but to see his take on the DC Universe this way, wow, I was very excited, and I can't wait for Superman to see him go forward and to see what his grand vision is. Other than that, just like I've been watching my Spurs, and I'm pretty good, pretty happy. As long as we stick right around 500, I'm great. 20 wins last year. If we can stick around 500, that's 40 wins this year. That's the sweet spot, I think, because that gives them enough wins to know what it feels like and enough losses for them not to be happy with, for them to be motivated to get better and better. So I think that's the sweet spot for me. They're right around there. I'm very excited. We'll see what happens. So that is it for me. Jakob, get better. I miss you. It's tough to do this on your own now. So everybody, what have you been up to this week? I hope you had great reads. I hope you can let us know what they were. We started this channel so we can talk back and forth about books with people that love books and the kind of books we love. Comments are everything to us. I'm going to answer them right away as quickly as I can. I'm going to answer every comment that comes in because that's the whole reason we're here. And hey, while you're down there, hit that little thumbs up button. I know, you might not even think about it, but it does help us get a wider reach and grow the channel here and grow the audience and get more people, more opinions, more people that are enjoying that journey of story in their life that can come in and join us and talk about what it means to them and how it affects them. And hey, maybe this is your first time. It's a little bit different if it is. Normally we have the Boy Wonder, but if this is your first time here, you're just checking it out and you haven't hit that subscription button, or maybe you've been here a time or two and you haven't hit that button yet. Oh, hey, takes no time at all. Boop, microsecond, done. And then you're in, man. When you join a group that story means so much to, that you can hang out with a couple times a week and really feel and understand how art can change your world and change your worldview and make you see the world and the people around you a little bit differently, including yourself and what's inside a little bit differently, maybe for each of these journeys that you're taking with these characters. If that sounds like it's something you want to share and be a part of, hit that button. Join us. You're going to feel a tingle when you get with your people. I tell you, scientific fact, you will feel a tingle. So guys, let us know what you've been up to. We're going to answer all the comments coming our way. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys Tuesday, Thursday, and then right back here in a week for Weekly Reader. My name is John Minton. Get well, Jacob. Thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Story.